Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Soul Silver Nuzzlocke. Now last episode, we got our starter, started building our team, and we made it here to Violet City. Now, we're going to battle Falkner this episode, but we do have some preparation that we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do is head on into Sprout Tower and start a little bit of grinding to get our Pokemon's level up. So after we defeat the tower and beat the last sage, we do receive the TM for Flash, which will allow us to eventually travel through the dark cave that we passed by earlier. And we do end up teaching this to Venus because it's our only Pokemon we have that can learn it at the moment. So now, all we have to do is go get a few more encounters, because I do have a plan to defeat Falkner, and it will be on the route directly below Violet City, but we'll be getting there in a moment. So after grinding against some Geodude in the cave, we do find our next encounter, which is a Zubat. Now I was hoping to find this because just in case ever something happens to Hootie, I will have a very reliable flying type in the back, because as much as people hate Zubat, Golbat and especially Crobat are very, very useful Pokemon. So while it's not my initial intent to use this Pokemon, it is a very good backup just in case something bad does happen. Now, I only had like 1 or 2 Pokeballs left, so I was very careful with catching this one, and as you can see, Sacrifice was doing a wonderful job just sitting out there, taking leech lives, and slowly dwindling it down. And after putting it to sleep, I was able to catch it. I named her Dracula, then proceeded south of Violet City to catch my secret weapon to deal with Falkner. Down on this route, you have Mareep. So I was able to catch a Mareep, and this thing will easily help me destroy Falkner after I do quite a bit of grinding to get it to level 10, where it finally learns an electric-type move. So after healing up with Surge and a Sacrifice just in case things do go wrong, we are now prepared to battle the first gym leader of this playthrough. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm over-prepared, but we'll see how this goes. Alright, let's do this. Now, with a level 10 Mareep, the first couple trainers are really just a joke. All I have to do is really Thundershock them and they go down without a fight. The first 2 trainers we're just XP basically. Now, for the actual battle with Falkner, I was feeling pretty confident because Surge grew to level 11 here. So, you know, when you have a very strong electric-type Pokemon, you just assume things will go well. For the most part, they did. But there was an issue. The battle started, and the very first thing that happened was Pidgey using Sand Attack. So already, that's really obnoxious, right? 1 Thundershock, and it goes down. Not an issue. I kind of forgot that Sand Attack had happened. Alright, so he sends in his ace, Pidgeotto. Surge is at super high health, I'm feeling confident, and it turns out the Thundershock didn't do as much as I had hoped it would, and we were slower. So, that tackle didn't do too much damage, so I decided to press forward. Thundershock missed. After healing with a potion, I continued to try and attack. He was using Gust, which hardly did anything, so I was feeling fine with this. Then he used another tackle, got me down to 9, and I used a Thundershock. And he got paralyzed, so I assumed, I'm moving first, this is perfect, I forgot about the Sand Attack, and Surge went down. The first death, and it's only the first gym. I have to be more cautious and not let stuff like that happen again. I say that now. I sent in Hootie to avenge Mareep, but the damage had already been done. And we lost a team member that I had planned to use for the long run. So now I had to adjust my game plan here moving forward. Regardless, we did obtain the first badge and we're on our way. With a heavy heart, we released Surge, and then we moved on to the Pokemart to pick up the egg that we had brought to Professor Elm earlier. I don't quite remember what it has inside, but it may be useful. I only remember what's inside the egg and diamond, pearl, and platinum where it's a Happini. I genuinely do not remember, but we'll find out. I battled my way through Union Cave to get to Azalea Town. Now this is where all the stuff with Team Rocket really starts to come into play. They're here in the town, cutting the tails off of live Slowpoke. Now while that sounds bad, the Dex entry does often talk about how Slowpoke is so stupid, it takes it like a couple minutes to an hour to even notice pain. So it's really not that big of a deal when you think about it, as messed up as it is. But it's not like it's really hurting the Slowpoke in terms of giving it pain. So Team Rocket at least has that. We easily beat our way through all the grunts, and we're finally battling this dude who claims to be labeled as the scariest member of Team Rocket. Now, I just have a question. Who in their right mind would be deathly afraid of this aqua-haired dude with a level 8 Zubat? If that's the scariest that Team Rocket has to offer, the rest of them are a bunch of sissies. I mean, come on. So we end up beating him pretty easily, and he pulls the whole, "Oh yeah, well, you beating me didn't really matter anyway, we're too strong for you," and all that stuff. And then he storms off like a little toddler having a tantrum. So yeah, that old dude who we thought broke his back earlier and almost died comes back, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm magically better now, thanks for handling that all by yourself, 10-year-old kid I just met." So at this point, we have a pretty decent team, and I was feeling like we were ready to take on the second gym. Now, I have a pretty strong flying type, but he's not as strong as he could be. So we battle through the gym, make the puzzle up to Bugsy, and immediately turn around running like a scared chihuahua with our tail in between our legs because we got some more training to do. I approached Elix Forest to trigger the rival battle, and I was hoping to get some pretty decent experience from this. Now, this battle proved to be very eventful. So, Hootie, I realized, Peck doesn't do nearly that much damage, and I kept thinking how horrifying that would be, trying to peck the Scyther to death with just a hoot-hoot. So I definitely needed this extra experience. So next, he sends in his Zubat after Ghastly went down pretty easily. And Zubat didn't pose too much of a threat. I mean, it has Leech Life, which hardly does any damage, but he does have Supersonic. So there was a little bit of issue with that, but not enough to where I was in threat of losing a Pokemon. I put it to sleep so that it would be less of an issue, but the confusion was still messing with Hootie just a little bit. He kept hitting himself, and then the Zubat woke up, and he almost died, but he managed to snap out of the confusion and not hit himself to death. So I did the responsible thing and switched in Munch instead to take down the Zubat. Now, of course, Zubat's Supersonic is ridiculous with its accuracy, so it still managed to land one on Munch, and he managed to break through that confusion and still bite the Zubat to death. Now, he was sending in his Bayleaf, and this bulky worm plant thing, whatever you want to call it, it was a bit more difficult to handle. So out comes the beast, and I'm not leaving my water type out here, especially being that underleveled. So I did the one thing that made sense to do. I sent in Venus, because I was hoping that it would be able to tank those hits. It didn't take me very long to realize that Venus wouldn't really be able to do a lick of damage on this Bayleaf with its moveset at the moment, and the Bayleaf also set up Reflect, so I had a different idea and did the other one thing that made sense, and I sent Hootie back in after healing it. So now we have a bit of a situation here. It took until now for me to really realize how fragile Hoot Hoot can be. If a not very effective move did that much damage, granted with a crit, I would be doing a lot of healing if I was to try and use Hoot Hoot to take this down. And it got poisoned. Hypnosis with its horrible accuracy of course missed, and Razor Leaf did more damage, and with poison that was going to be very, very bad. So I tried healing again to, it not doing as much as I would hope it would. Like, yes, I was at full health, but I was still poisoned. Razor Leaf kept critting, doing a bunch of damage, and I was still poisoned. So finally, as a last resort, I did the last thing that made sense, and I switched in the best death fodder I had, which was Sacrifice the Geodude. He went down without a fight, but it was valiant nonetheless. So, good on you, Sacrifice, you died the way I wanted you to. Sacrifice's sacrifice did buy us some time, but we still had to deal with this incredibly bulky leaf dinosaur. So, after attempting to try and chip away at it with Wrap and whatever else Venus had at his disposal, I quickly realized I needed to have another safe switch. So, I sent in the Rattata I hadn't yet trained, and Tosker became death fodder along with Sacrifice. It's tragic, but I wasn't really planning on using it in the long run anyway, so yeah, sorry. I was able to finally defeat the Bayleaf by interchangeably putting it to sleep and attacking it with Peck. A critical hit finally took it down. So we lost 2 team members, but they were honestly death fodder the whole time anyway, so I'm not counting that nearly as tragic as losing the Mareep. So we won, we got the experience we were looking for, but we're still not quite ready for that gym yet. Now we did the next required step, and we released both Tosker and Sacrifice the Geodude after they died. Our pool of usable Pokemon is dwindling pretty quickly, but we should be fine. Now I was just running around to get my Elix Forest encounter and oh, the egg is hatching. Alright, so let's see. Oh, it's a Togepi. Wait a second. Oh my god! That's shiny!